Bulls Show Daily Podcast by and for you.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Awesome. Well, today we're tackling Ethiopia's bid to host the 2029 Africa Cup of Nations.
This sounds fascinating.
It is, and we found this great article on the BRICS joint website. It's called Africa Cup of Nations 2029. Ethiopia throws its hat into the ring.
It's
It is, and honestly, after reading it, I think this is about way more than just a game, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Huge implications.
Totally. So, big question, right? Can Ethiopia pull it off?
Yeah.
What do they have going for them? What are maybe some challenges they'll face?
All good questions.
Big questions, right. And I think one thing that really struck me right away was that, Ethiopia isn't just some newbie trying to break into this.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, they're a founding member of the Confederation of African Football.
They are.
Back in 1957. I mean, that's...
No, 1957. Okay, so they've been in the game since the beginning.
From the very start.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So to think that they could host the Africa Cup of Nations, it's
a big deal.
It is. It's like a homecoming story for African football. You know what I mean?
I love that. A homecoming. Okay, yeah, that adds a whole new layer of meaning to it.
Definitely does.
And speaking of meaning, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, he's pretty passionate about this bid, right?
He's all in. I mean, he sees this as a massive opportunity, not just for Ethiopia, but for the whole continent.
He does.
Yeah, showcasing African unity, boosting football development everywhere. I mean, it's a big vision.
Okay, so we've got the history, the unity angle, but can they actually make this happen?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
It is. So what about resources? Can they handle this?
Well, for starters, their economy is doing incredibly well. I mean, 8.1% growth last year.
Wow.
And projections are even higher for this year, like 8.4%.
Yeah.
And that kind of economic stability, that's like the bedrock you need to even think about taking on something as huge as, hosting a major international sporting event.
Right, because you've got to handle all the visitors, the infrastructure, build the stadiums. That's a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's a massive undertaking.
And I think the article mentioned they're already investing in infrastructure, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. And they're not just thinking about, throwing up some temporary stadiums and calling it a day. It's about building for the future. New state-of-the-art stadiums, upgrading transportation networks, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, so this is really about modernizing Ethiopia. Leaving a legacy.
Exactly. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has been super clear about that.
So they're aiming to elevate Ethiopian football as a whole. I mean, this is a long-term vision.
Long-term. This isn't just about 2029. It's about what comes after. Attracting talent from abroad, creating world-class facilities. It's about putting Ethiopia on the map, as a real football powerhouse.
I love that. Okay, but gotta be honest, when I think of Ethiopia, tourist destination isn't the first thing that pops into my head.
Right.
So what else is there beyond the football itself? What can people experience?
Oh, man, that's where it gets exciting. I mean, Ethiopia is like this hidden gem, full of history, vibrant culture, just breathtaking natural beauty.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What specifically are we talking?
Well, how about 9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites?
Wow, 9.
Yeah, just imagine. Exploring the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, the ancient city of Axum. It's like stepping back in time.
9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I had no clue. That is incredible.
Yeah.
So it's like a package deal. You get the thrill of the Africa Cup of Nations, plus this unique cultural experience.
The whole package.
You've definitely painted a pretty amazing picture. But now for the reality check.
Sure.
Any downsides? Any challenges that Ethiopia might face in hosting such a big event?
Yeah, I mean, anything this ambitious, there could be some hurdles.
Right, of course.
It's just the logistics of it all. Managing all those visitors, security, transportation, that's a massive puzzle to figure out.
It is. And, we can't ignore the political landscape either. The article doesn't really get into that. Are there concerns there? Could that impact the tournament?
Well, it's true that while Ethiopia has made huge strides, there have been some internal conflicts in recent years.
Yeah.
And that's something to keep an eye on, definitely.
Yeah, I guess it's a reminder that hosting an event like this, it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Huge responsibility.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot riding on this for Ethiopia. Huge potential, but also challenges.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a complex story, and I think we've just started to explore it.
It is complex, and I'm already hooked. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what this bid means for Ethiopia, right?
Right.
But I'm curious about the bigger picture, What could a successful tournament mean for African football as a whole?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, it really gets to the heart of why this bid is so important. When you look back at past Africa Cup of Nations tournaments, they've often been like a catalyst
Oh, interesting. A catalyst for what?
for development. I mean,
Yeah.
for the host countries themselves. So it's not just about like that month of football. There's a lasting impact.
Huge impact. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about things like new stadiums, world-class stadiums,
Mhm.
improvements to infrastructure,
Okay.
that benefits everyone, not just the tournament.
Yeah.
And a surge in investment in local football programs. It's like this ripple effect that goes way beyond just the pitch.
I see. It spreads out. And with Ethiopia being, a founding member of CCAF,
Right?
their success would be a pretty powerful symbol for other African nations, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it would show their vision, their commitment, and, it could even inspire other countries to be like, hey, we can do that too. Step up, invest in their own football infrastructure, maybe even bid for future tournaments themselves.
Right, like raising the bar.
Exactly.
It's like this bid has the potential to elevate the whole continent.
Yeah.
On the world football stage, it's bigger than just one nation's aspirations.
Way bigger. It really is. And think about like the cultural exchange too. Fans from all over Africa coming together, celebrating,
The love of the game.
the beautiful game, embracing that spirit of unity
Yeah.
that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is so passionate about.
Yeah. I can just picture, the energy, the passion. It'd be amazing.
It would be electric.
And remember, we were talking about Ethiopia's cultural heritage.
Right.
This would be a chance for them to share that with the world.
Huge opportunity. Yeah, I mean, those 9 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, those vibrant cities,
Yeah.
they could really take center stage. It's a side of Africa that a lot of people haven't seen. Yeah.
They haven't. Okay, so this exposure, I mean, could that lead to more tourism, more investment?
Potentially, yeah. Not just in Ethiopia, but across the continent.
Yeah.
It's about showcasing the beauty, the diversity, and the potential.
Okay, this sounds like a turning point. But we've got to be realistic, right? I mean, no deep dive is complete without talking about the risks, the downsides.
Of course. We got to be honest about the challenges, and we've touched on a few already.
Right.
The logistics, making sure everything runs smoothly. Security, transportation, handling that influx of visitors. I mean, those are all big, complex issues that they've got to get right.
Absolutely. And the political situation, we talked about that earlier.
Right.
Any instability, that could be a real problem, right? Could threaten the whole thing.
It could. It's crucial for Ethiopia to have a solid plan, address. Exactly. It's showcasing sportsmanship, fair play, the true spirit of African football, And even if the games themselves aren't like blow your mind amazing, Ethiopia can still be a fantastic host. They can create this positive, memorable experience for everyone.
So big picture, this bid from Ethiopia, it really is a game changer. It's about national pride, continental unity, economic development,
All of that.
and sharing this incredible culture with the world.
And while there are definitely some obstacles,
Yeah.
the potential rewards,
Yeah,
massive. This is definitely a story worth watching.
it is. It's a story that's unfolding right now. We're going to
Yeah.
keep following it. Okay, so we've gone over the potential positives, we've talked about the challenges, but I think the question that's really sticking with me is, if Ethiopia wins this bid, what does that say about Africa's place in the world of football? Like, what kind of statement would that make?
Oh, that's a big one. And I think it takes us to the core of this whole discussion.
Yeah.
For a long time, African football, it's been kind of seen as, playing catch up on the global stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too. You hear about the challenges they face, right? Like limited resources, not enough infrastructure, even some bias from international organizations. It's tough.
It's been an uphill battle for sure. But Ethiopia, them stepping up, pulling this off, that could really change the narrative. It would show the world, hey, look at our economic growth. Look at how we can organize a world-class event. And of course, that passion, that love for the sport, that's undeniable.
Right. It's like saying, hey, African football is here, and it's a force to be reckoned with.
Exactly. And just imagine the inspiration for the next generation of players, coaches, administrators, Plus, it could bring in more attention, more investment from all over the world.
It's like this ripple effect, right?
Total ripple effect.
And not just for Ethiopia, but for the whole continent.
It's huge.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, you can picture these kids in Ethiopia, all over Africa, seeing their country hosting this major tournament, knowing that they can achieve those dreams too.
Absolutely. It's about so much more than just football.
Yeah.
You know, it's about hope. It's about opportunity. It's about changing how people see Africa and showing the world all the amazing things it has to offer.
Okay, so bringing it back to our listeners, why should they care about all this? What's the big takeaway from Ethiopia's bid?
Well, I think this bid and everything it stands for, it's like a little snapshot, a microcosm of what's happening all across Africa right now. Growth, development, and this determination to overcome challenges and achieve great things. It's a story that deserves our attention, it deserves our curiosity, it deserves our support.
Well said. And it reminds me that, sports often reflect these bigger societal trends, hopes, dreams, ambitions. And sometimes sports can even be that spark, that catalyst for positive change.
Couldn't agree more. Pushing boundaries, challenging those old ways of thinking, that's the power of sports, right?
Totally. And we started this whole deep dive asking, can Ethiopia pull this off? And I think the answer is it's definitely within their reach. And the impact, well, that goes way beyond just the final whistle of the tournament.
Way beyond. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. If this bid is successful, what kind of ripple effect could it have? How could it change the way the world sees Ethiopia? How could it change the way the world sees Africa?
Ooh, that's a good one. Something to think about for sure. And we've only just scratched the surface here, so I encourage you, keep digging. Explore Ethiopia's history with African football. It's fascinating. It's a story of passion, resilience, and this deep love for the beautiful game.
And who knows? Maybe we'll all be watching Ethiopia make history in 2029. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big questions.